Now let's zoom in a bit and take a closer look at the region in direct firing range, the other major players in West Asia. And I must say here that this region has never been a beacon of stability, but last night's attack makes it even more of a tinderbox. The Iranian missiles and drones flew over multiple countries before reaching Israel. Plus, Iran's proxies joined the attack. We told you about them, like the Hezbollah. It's a group based in Lebanon. And Lebanon is major player number one. It has always been caught in Israel's conflicts. In fact, Israel had occupied the southern part of Lebanon from 1985 to 2000 for almost 15 years. So if the Iran-Israel fight escalates, Lebanon will likely get caught in the war and they will side with Iran. Next, we have Syria, the official owners of the Golan Heights region occupied by Israel, and major player number two. Syria is another country close to Iran. Their president is Bashar al-Assad, and he's still in power only thanks to Tehran. They helped him win a civil war. There are also armed Iran-backed groups in Syria, like smaller versions of the Hezbollah. So if it comes to it, Syria will side with Iran. Then there's major player number three, Iraq. And this is a bit of a unique case. On the one hand, Iraq has fought a major war against Iran, the first Gulf War in the 1980s. But since then, the countries have come together. Iraq's prime minister is even considered pro-Iranian. His path to the top job was helped by pro-Iran political parties. Iraq, in fact, also has many Iran-backed militias on its soil. They are in Iraq. So in the event of a war, even if Iraq stays out, the government stays out, these militias will join Iran. And speaking of Iranian proxies, there are also some Houthis in Yemen. The group does not just attack ships in the Red Sea, they're capable of reaching Israel as well, thanks to Iran-made drones that the Houthis have. And that makes Yemen major player number four. So we have Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. Directly or indirectly, these countries will be on Iran's side. But they aren't the only ones with skin in the game. You also have the Arab states. We'll start with Israel's neighbor Jordan, major player number five. Jordan is home to US military bases. It is also home to millions of Palestinians. Jordan is across the border from Israel, so that is where many Palestinian refugees took shelter after their displacement during the creation of Israel. Millions still live there, and Jordan does not want any more. So it always tries to de-escalate tensions. It is at the forefront of peace talks, and it also helped shoot down Iranian weapons last night. Jordan wants peace and calm to return, and an end to the influx of refugees, which brings us to major player number six, the leader of the Arab and the Muslim world, and that's Saudi Arabia. Iran and Saudi Arabia had been rivals for decades, the two power centers in West Asia, but they buried the hatchet last year. They normalized ties. Riyadh would not want to resume hostilities, so expect the kingdom to try and calm things down. In fact, look at Saudi Arabia's statement. It has called on all parties to exercise utmost restraint and spare the region and its people from the dangers of war. Basically, they're telling everyone to calm down. The other Arab states are likely to follow Riyadh's lead, and considering their ties with the US, the Arab pressure may be key to keeping the peace, making Saudi Arabia the biggest regional player to watch right now. Now let's look at the worst case scenario, because that's what you do in situations like this. Look at all possibilities, hoping it doesn't come to the worst. What would a full-blown war between Iran and Israel look like? How do they compare militarily? Their capabilities are very different. Israel is one of West Asia's most powerful militaries, and Iran is one of the largest. Whose force is superior? What kind of firepower do they have? And who has a better shot at winning? Our next report tells you.
The drumbeats of war are sounding in West Asia yet again. Israel and Iran are in the middle of an escalating crisis. At the heart of it lies a crucial question. If the worst-case scenario were to unfold, who will come out on top? Israel versus Iran, whose military might has the upper hand. On the surface, the numbers favor Iran. Iran has a huge population, at least in comparison to Israel. Iran is home to about 89 million people, as compared to Israel's population of about 10 million. So on paper, it's advantage Iran, particularly when it comes to the size of its military. The Iranian armed forces are among the largest in West Asia, with at least 580,000 active duty personnel and 200,000 trained reserve personnel. How big is Israel's military? It has about 170,000 active personnel and 465,000 reservists. So Iran's active personnel is more than thrice that of Israel's. It also has a larger navy, more tanks and armored vehicles, and greater access to fuel. So far, Iran seems to have the upper hand. But there is a catch. Raw data alone doesn't tell you the whole story. Quantitative factors play a role, yes, but so do qualitative ones, like training and advancement of technology. And the nation that comes out on top here is the one with more money, which is Israel. Iran has a GDP of $413 billion, while Israel's GDP stands at $539 billion. This affects their respective military budgets. Reportedly, Iran's is at $10 billion, whereas Israel has a military budget of $24.4 billion. That's almost 2.5 times higher. But the biggest advantage that Israel has is that its military is backed by the United States. America provides Israel with a $3.8 billion annual military assistance. This has allowed Israel to have more advanced weaponry with superior force readiness, making it one of West Asia's most powerful militaries. Let's see how this plays out on land, water and air. In terms of tank force, like the Zulfikar series and the Karar MPT, Iran builds its own tanks. Usually they are based on outdated designs. Then there are T-72s, T-54s and T-55s, which are Iranian copies and considered inferior to the Israeli defense tanks like the Merkava Mark IV, which is one of the best armored tanks in the game. Now let's look at the Navy. Iran's Navy is larger than Israel's, but not as robust. Israel's Navy has access to American and European suppliers and their advanced missiles and vessels. Now, when it comes to air power, contrary to the numbers trend, Israel's force is larger than Iran's. Its arsenal includes 612 aircraft to Iran's 551. Its primary fighting force consists of at least 66 F-15s, 175 F-16s and 27 F-35 stealth fighters. It's also regarded as one of the best in the world, has about 63 F-4s and 26 F-14s. In comparison, Iran's air arsenal is believed to be aging rapidly. So Israel has superior quality, which is why Iran is using another tactic on the battlefield: deploying weapons in large quantities. Iran has a substantial inventory of ballistic and cruise missiles. They are capable of striking targets about 2,000 kilometers away. This puts Israel well within its range. And during the weekend's attack, Tehran launched dozens of explosive-laden drones. These are Iran's pride. They are unmanned aerial vehicles believed to be Shahids, meaning witness in Farsi. These are long-range drones which have been called the AK-47s of Tehran because they are cheap, mass-produced and deadly. Plus, Iran is not without allies. One of its most important is the Lebanese militia, Hezbollah. According to Israeli intelligence, Hezbollah's arsenal contains more than 70,000 rockets and missiles, including long-range and precision-guided missiles. But then again, conventional forces aren't the only ones that can be used on a battlefield. Israel is believed to possess the ability to launch nuclear strikes from land, air and sea. Israel has never openly confirmed or denied its possession of nuclear weapons. So Iran has the numbers, Israel has the technology. While you can't predict a clear winner, if this conflict escalates any further, there's no doubt over who will be the biggest loser: the already restive region and its millions of people.